Okay, so we are live. Hey, everybody. How are you guys?
Good.
Pretty well.
Pretty well in a rainy day for you. So
Absolutely.
first off, welcome and thank you for joining. And I just want to say it was awesome to see all you guys at the Bloggers Conference. And that is really my favorite part of going to the conference is just seeing everybody. And it's just so much fun to either meet people for the first time that you've been tweeting with or Instagramming with and reading their blog posts, but you don't get to really know who they are, even though you think you do. And then you get to see them, you know. So, Nick, you and I, we go way back.
Way back.
Way back. But Kent and Stacy, that was the first time I met you guys, so it was pretty awesome to meet you after reading all of your stuff. But Kent, why don't you start off and introduce yourself for the people who are watching or going to listen to the podcast?
Okay, I'm Kent Reynolds. I write Appetite for Wine, and that's kind of me. I've been at it for a little over 2 years, and this was my first time attending the Bloggers Conference.
Right. Nick?
So I am Wine Com Guy. It was my first time attending the conference, and I work both as a blogger, microblogging and blogging, and I work in the industry as well. So I've presented at the conference.
Right. And Stacy?
My name is Stacy. Hello. I write, my blog is Briscoe Bites. For those of you on Twitter, I'm at SL Briscoe, and I'm a freelance writer, wine writer as well. So you've probably seen me around or have read me around.
Read you around. Read you. So,
and this was my first year at the Bloggers Conference as well. So.
All right. So this was actually my second year. So I drove up to Lodi last year. And I have to honestly say, I was completely shocked by the wines at Lodi because I thought, oh, Lodi, all right, but I can drive there, you know. But the wines really impressed me. I was really, really impressed by them. And they did a spectacular job of hosting us and all of the, the tasting seminars and just learning about Lodi itself was really great. So this was my second conference. So really the important thing, what are we drinking?
Well, I've got the Hannah 2016 Sauvignon Blanc. Picked that up at the wine excursion. We went there for lunch on Thursday, and it's a really fantastic Russian River Valley Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay. Nick is in a car, so he's not drinking.
Sorry, Nick.
Not currently.
Stacy, do you got a glass?
I've actually got a little cocktail thing going on here with just a little bit of it's a new vodka actually, and I wish I had the bottle with me to show you. And it's some Sonoma based distilled vodka. It's all grapes, so I thought I'd give it a go, and I just kind of mixed it with a little bit of that's actually water and ice. I don't pour that much vodka, but I just thought I'd give that a go. I'm keeping things kind of light after the conference, so yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I thought I'd still support Sonoma with my cocktail there because, like I said, it's some kind of Sonoma-based distillery that, again, I don't know. I have a cat on me right now. Otherwise, I'd go get the.
I see a tail. I see a tail.
So Sonoma strong, just like Stacy's cocktails, apparently.
Well, I'm drinking Cab Franc. Surprise. Yeah. And it's
the producer.
Muriat as well.
Oh, okay.
I'm on a Muriat as well. Yeah, I'm on a Muriat as well kick. Had the spur the last 4 nights. I was actually using the repour that we got at the conference.
Great product.
So I was using that with Muriat as well, and then I did Wine for Bet Street last night, so I had a ferment for that. So I had like 2 glasses left of that, so I kind of had that with my pasta for dinner, and I wanted a glass. So I just Coravined some. I just Coravined because tomorrow I'm out of here, so I can't use Report because I'm not going to be back for like a week and a half and whatever. So I decided to just Coravin. So yay, Kept From.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys already answered my question of what conference this was for you. But what would you say was, what did you think you were getting yourself into? Like what, when you signed up for it, what did you think you were going to get?
I was hoping to be able to meet some of the people I've been reading and interacting with on social, which I did. But I was also hoping to be able to get some tips on how to be a better writer, some of the legal aspects of it, and ideas for down the road being able to, if not monetize, at least I guess capitalize on my blog. Getting some samples, some trips, that sort of thing. And I think I accomplished that.
That's good. Stacy, Nick?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I guess learning from kind of expert bloggers and writers just how to, I don't know, have a better blogging presence out in the social media world. And I feel like I did learn that through some of the lectures, but I feel like I learned even more from my fellow attendees, just networking and like over dinner conversations and even the excursions, just kind of talking about ourselves and the different styles of writing and the different wines that we're into. It's always really interesting to hear what people's kind of niche is in the wine writing world, because I'm always looking to expand my horizons. I know a lot of the wines I review and the wineries I talk about are all very California or West Coast American based. So it was cool to meet people like Anatoly, who has such a wide world view perspective, and even like the guys from We Like Drinking who talk about like craft brews and ciders and things like that. So yeah, I feel like I learned not just from the expert seminars and things like that, but from my fellow attendees, which was cool. So yeah.
Now, Nick, you were coming at it from a different angle because you're a whole different industry type concept. So what did you think? What did you think you were going to get, and then did you get it?
So, yes, from an industry standpoint, we went ahead and sponsored, our table at the Wines of the World Expo. And, as the marketing guy, I was just hoping to expose people to our direct-to-consumer wines. And I say that because the brands that I work for have a very strong grocery retail chain presence. And I think sometimes wineries get lost in translation, or that's how people perceive wineries, is based on what they see on the shelf at a store. And so this was such a captive audience of people who are influencers, not even just to the everyday wine person, but to people who have really advanced palates. And so being able to get our wines in front of them where they might not have that opportunity to get up to Oregon, it is great. And then from just a blogger perspective, really just learning about other people's point of view, and again, those writing tips, seeing what other people are writing about, just because, again, like Stacy said, some people might be very West Coast centric, and there's others that are exploring regions that others aren't, and I think that's really important.
So I come from it from the whole other aspect of it. So I think that a lot of the seminars, like Kent, you want to know how to monetize your blog and how to get more, like not like I don't think anybody writes a blog thinking they're going to become millionaires doing it.
No.
But
Wait, I'm not.
Oh, it's such a disappointment. Oh, sorry.
I live in a car.
But like I'm never going to monetize my blog because my blog is just a page on my winery website. So
Mhm.
it's the conference really for me. It really is just about meeting the people and getting my name out there and learning more blogs to read because, I have so much time in my day. But, I just want to be able to find other blogs to read because that is the thing. I have a very New World palate. Like, I really drink California, Oregon, Washington wines, not even New World. I'm like West Coast people. Um, and to read people's blogs who are into the old world or into other areas, the Hudson Valley or the Flex wines or things like that. It's interesting to read their perspective of what they're tasting and how they go about writing. And I just like writing. I've always written. As a little kid I used to write stories and all of that stuff. I think my mom still has them in the drawer, like all of her little portfolio of all my stories. So I just like writing, and it's just a way to express yourself in something that you like. But I like being able to meet other people who taste things that I never would taste. Like, holy cow, like Jim bringing that Banyol, like, oh my God. Did you get that?
I didn't. I need to sit at his table next year.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's a good move.
Yeah.
But like never would I have ever picked that up for myself. Like I would have walked right past that wherever it was, because it would have, and surprised me. I liked it. I thought it was, oh, we lost Nick. I liked it. It was really amazing to me. So that's what I like about it is everybody coming together and just being able to share whatever they like,
Yeah.
So here's my big question because I've already well, tomorrow will be my second blog post about the bloggers conference. The first one was a highlight thing, which apparently a lot of people liked. It's like lots of people reading it. But my big thing is the live blogging, the speed dating of wine. Speed dating, right? I have my very strong personality perspective of that. And I'm going to hold off to what I think in terms of because I again have the two views of it. I have a blogger plus a winery. But what was your experience? Because it was, it's all your first time going at it. What did you think?
I actually really liked it because on a regular basis, like we all have people on Twitter or whatever kind of social media that you're a regular on that you kind of converse with on a daily basis. And so I have a little group of friends who always are like, oh, here's what I made for dinner and here's the wine pairing that goes with it. And anytime they snap a picture of the wine, my question is, well, what are the tasting notes? And so I'm always pushing them, like, it's great to see what you're drinking, but what is it, And I'm honestly curious. I'm not trying to be annoying or anything like that. I honestly want to know because a lot of people are drinking things that I've either never heard of, don't have access to, or maybe I've seen it and I've just never, taken it off the shelf. But the funny thing is that as much as I ask people those questions, I very, very seldom, like on a random Tuesday night, will snap a picture of my wine and say, like, this is what's in my glass, mostly because I'm saving that for one of my reviews and I don't want to like give a review straight away. But also because I'm still in that kind of shy mode where I'm like, maybe what I'm smelling and tasting isn't quite right, or if I type it so fast, like maybe it won't make sense just coming out of my mouth, you know? So I always take handwritten notes. But what that exercise actually encouraged me to do was say, hey, you know, here's what I'm drinking. Here's what I'm experiencing at this moment. And that doesn't mean that I can't blog about it later and write up a more formal review saying, here are my tasting notes. But it's kind of cool to broadcast, like, you know, straight away, like, this is what I'm experiencing, and kind of doing what I force my followers to do on a regular basis. So that was kind of my takeaway. It was, don't be shy, and it doesn't have to be right or wrong. And there were some wines where I tasted them and I really didn't have any notes, but it was still kind of cool to just be like, hey, like, here's a wine I've never had before, like, who's experienced this, you know? So that was me.
I loved it myself. I know a lot of people, I've heard people complaining about it. I've read other bloggers and saying that, you know, oh, you don't have time to analyze. But what I loved about it, first of all, just the energy in the room during those sessions was just phenomenal. I love the energy, meeting the winemakers and hearing about their passion. But, you know, I think like when you go wine tasting, you don't get like a whole glass to analyze and review, and you get a 1 or 2 ounce pour, and you have to make a snap determination in just a couple of sips on what you like or what you don't like. And I think that's kind of what that was about. You know, I'm a big customer at Total Wine & More, and you know, they have, at least in California, on the weekends they have wine tastings, and that's basically what you get, is about a 1 ounce pour. But I found some of my favorite wines have been through those tastings, and that's kind of what I liken the speed tasting to. So it was just a lot of fun. I enjoyed, like I said, the energy, there was a lot of laughter, a lot of fun, and yeah, it is. You don't get a chance to really analyze it, but sometimes those snap decisions, those first impressions, are really what matter and what stick with you.
Yep. First impressions matter.
Yeah.
And Anatoly has joined in.
Hey.
Hi, Anatoly, but I don't think your camera. Oh, there it is. Okay, I was gonna say I don't think your camera.
I have a camera. I don't think I necessarily look presentable because I just run out of the shower, but it's the best I can do.
So then you're the cleanest one here, I can tell you that.
Might be. That's quite possible.
So we were just in the process of, I had just asked what their impression of the live blogging is, and we're just about to hear from what Nick thought of the live blogging, and then you can join in with your thoughts too.
So I really enjoyed the live blogging in many aspects, in the fact that I was able to taste so many wines in a short period of time that I had never tasted before. I also think it kind of depends on the table that you're at and the energy, and if you're trying to snap a photo and there are people that are monopolizing either the entire 5 minutes with a winemaker and the bottle. I'm not pointing fingers to my second day table, but the first day table was really great. And then from a winery perspective, even though we didn't pour during that event, trying to get the story out in, say, 5 minutes, or hoping that your wine is open. You know, I know that some of them were just popping bottles, and if you're expecting a wine to open in 5 minutes, especially some of those reds, I actually found that, you know, if there was a delay in a winemaker coming around, I had a better chance to smell and taste all of those aromatics and all those flavors a little later than in that initial impression. And I think that could be dangerous for some of those winemakers.
Anatoly, why don't you do a quick intro of who you are and where people can find you, and then tell us your thoughts.
Okay. So I'm Anatol Levine. I have a blog called Tocavino, and so that's where you can find me. Tocavino.com. You can go by either spelling. Tocavino is like one line, or talk-a-vino.com. So it's a labor of passion. I've been doing this. I have a blog for about 7+ years, and I drink a lot of wine. That's all I can tell you. And so. So yeah, no, you and so you guys talking about live blogging. I like it. So this is my third conference, so I essentially knew what to expect. You absolutely correct about being at the right table. So our table number 5. Next time, try to be at the table number 5 because that's the best table. And we all shared. Nobody monopolized the bottles. We all shared, and we know how it works. It's you have to insert yourself a little bit into the process, ask presenter for a second bottle to take shots and everything, so you can manage that. As far as the wine, the way the wine tastes, it's that's tough. You're absolutely right. It's especially for the reds or whatever some of the bigger whites. Yeah, you want them to be open, and this is so the winemaker who is getting into this really should know what's the best way to present their wines, because nobody's asking to open the wine at the table, right? But you really, as very often in real life, you only get one chance. So if the wine was not show, it's I mean, if you're in a restaurant and you know what you order in, yeah, you can tell people, okay, let's wait 30 minutes. I guarantee you will love it, and that's it. But here, this is different purpose, so you really have to. You want to. This is. I think it's an interesting marketing opportunity for winemakers. I don't know if anyone has any stats for trending like during this type of like live session. If let's say WBC 17 was trending, and as a hashtag, and how high was trending, but I would think we were creating some buzz, not I mean, not the highest, but I'm sure. So it's I think it's interesting. It's an interesting opportunity for me. I love it. I mean, this is it's a cool challenge, and this is that's definitely interesting exercise.
So for me, in terms of being a blogger, I enjoyed this year much better than last year. So last year I was stressed. Like I think, and so the whites were the first day also last year, right?
Mm-hmm. They always do white and rosé first day, and then
so the first day I was beyond stressed. I was like, whatever. And then the second day I I relaxed a bit, but I still was stressed. This year, having had last year's experience, I was much more relaxed, and I was prepared to listen, and I kind of knew that I wasn't doing tasting notes into the tweets. I was trying to get information out about the winery in my tweets. So, I wasn't really paying attention to that aspect of it. I just wanted to tweet out, this is the winery, this might be how many cases they produce of this wine, what their, if they have a state, a motto or something like that. So it was much more relaxed for me this year. In terms of the other side of it, as being a winery, that's where I question this. And I'm not saying again, going back to stats, I would love to see the stats on this. Because as a winery, everything I do is for an ROI. What's my return on investment? So I'm pouring, and I think it costs $500 to pour. Plus you're supplying your wine. So for little old me, that's a lot of money, but people are so involved in looking at their phones or their iPads or whatever and tweeting. I'm not sure they remember they remember the wines. Now you are taking pictures, so you can go back and you can look at your own tweets. So I would like to see what the stats are do these wineries get sales off of this? You are getting 50 minutes of a blast of your winery name, so it's going out there, but I'm curious as to what that ROI is. Because for me,
I don't think you can measure
$500
that.
I
needs to be a
don't
lot of
think,
sales.
Lori, this is a tough one because I don't think you can directly. I don't know if you sell wine on Twitter. I really don't
can't.
think so. You build brand. This is it's the same. It's like you could never tell if TV advertisement how many bottles were sold based on a TV advertisement. It's a
Right.
branding. This is you create buzz. So when you present your wine, so theoretically you should get 8 bloggers, 10 bloggers at a table, 10 tables you can run through. So you
Right.
should get between 80 and 100 impressions, which you can then, and I would guarantee you that at least I would be surprised if at least not 20, at least 25% of those are not favorable, saying, "Wow, this is a great wine," etc. So now you can take those
Right.
tweets and you can then now you can spin them, right? So you can really do your branding, and I don't know. I think it's not bad. It's hard to tell.
Well,
I don't
my
know.
my thought is my afterthought is that there's wineries that come back year after year. So
Mhm.
there has to be some sort of ROI. There's got to be some sort of return on investment there. And the bigger the winery, not that anybody thinks $500. Um, oh, okay. Amber's trying to log in but keeps getting blocked. I wonder if there's Stacy, tell her to try again.
I
Um,
surprisingly had no issues. I
um,
was able.
yeah,
I was
it's
because you said that this link is becoming invalid in like 30 minutes, so I was afraid that that's what
yeah.
I will get, but
Um,
it worked.
can't wait.
Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
see, I think it might have changed again. Um, but
can you invite from here? I never successfully use Hangouts. I know people do, but I'm not super successful with the Hangouts. So
I'm trying again.
yeah.
Amber.
Uh,
Okay, try
by
again.
the way,
I just sent her another link.
yeah. Lori,
Yeah.
have you ever talked to Craig?
Craig Camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, not about this, not about that, but I have talked about him. But he has done it a couple of
No,
times. So
no,
that's
no.
what
That's. I'm just. Yeah. I'm just answering what you said. You wonder if it makes sense. So Craig is here every year.
right. That's what I'm
At
saying.
least 3 years, which I was there. He was there with his wine. So I mean, he doesn't. This is hard work for him. He brings wines. He have to talk to people all the time and everything. This is. I'm sure he enjoys it, but if there would be zero ROI, I don't
Right.
think he would do it.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. What that was my after statement was there are wineries that come back over and over again, so they must see something because if they don't, they're not going to be coming back.
Yeah.
But so going back to the live blogging, did anybody have a wow wine that like one wine that totally stood out, either white, red, rosé? Did anybody have one that they were like, wow, this is
I was
memorable?
actually blown away by the Letty Old Vine Chardonnay. I'd never even experienced an Old Vine Chardonnay before, and it blew my mind. So that's the one that stood out to me.
I think, well, the wine that keeps sticking out in my head, I think, was the Graciana. There was a Graciana Pinot Noir, I think it was. And see, I'd have to look at my notes to double check what it was. But
that's the one.
but yeah, but to me,
The gift one, right? That was the gift one.
Yeah. And I think to kind of loop that into your previous question, I think for the wineries to really see some kind of ROI, it's going to be about the connection that they made with the bloggers at that moment. So for me, I mean, I took all the business cards and things that people gave me, but like I have like a little goodie bag here where I organized everything, and the ones that really stuck out in my head. Like I'm interested about either a specific wine or learning more about their story, and I want to include them somehow in either my professional or personal writing career. Those are the people that I followed up with immediately, saying, hey, it was great to meet you. I'm interested in your wines. Like, how can we work together? So kind of, I think it was Anatoly was saying, it's like you have those 5-10 minutes or whatever to make a personal pitch or connection with the bloggers. So you might not see an immediate, like sales or anything like that, but you'll see you depending on the blogger, because we all have different reaches and things like that, but you might eventually see some kind of turnaround or some kind of benefit to making that connection, because we all have different groups that we associate with and different chat groups that we do and different kinds of social media presences. And I think that all kind of helps. And I think that's why we try to be as friendly and as personable as possible, because we're all working together in the same little niche here.
For me, I was the oddball, I guess, at our table. And not that I didn't like that Dracaena Pinot. I thought it was a stellar wine. But the orgasmic
Oh,
the naked.
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh no, okay.
No, it was the winery is orgasmic.
Oh, okay.
And it was
Sangiovese.
Sangiovese. And that blew my mind. I loved that wine. And then the Jeffs of We Like Drinking podcast, and Stacy, you guys really loved that Pinot, and I thought that Pinot was fantastic also, but they were at the same price point. And for me, I would go with, for that price point. I think the Pinot was $72. So for me, 72 is high for a Pinot, where the orgasmic was 70 for the Sangiovese. So it's the same price, but for me, I would have gone with that, but those two wines were definitely standouts to me. Those were ones that I remember the name, I remember the wine, I remember what it tasted like on my palate, and I will go hunt them down, but so watch out, I'm coming.
Yeah, I don't know. And unfortunately, this year, I can still give you my favorites from the Lodi, but not from this year. This year was, I was not happy with, and so the big problem is, unfortunately, it's ingrained in me. So I always look at the QPR. So the Sangiovese for $70, that sweet as it is, I'm sorry. I mean, I'll drink Brunello for 40, for 30, but this is non-starter in my game, And the Pinot for 72, if it would be mind-blowing Pinot, okay, I would give it, but I would understand, but I don't know. I would, for instance, I don't know if you guys had Antica Terra wines. Antica Terra is it's a small winery in Oregon where I forgot the winemaker's name, but she was trained under Krankel at Cinquanon. So she makes like amazing wines. Those are at least $90. Rosé, Chardonnay, Pinot. I mean, she has only one price point, $90, I think. But you just can't compare the amount of pleasure you get. So I don't get me wrong. I don't look at the price per se, right? I'm not saying the wine have to be $20, or I'm just like there is nothing beyond that, absolutely not. But I always look for what you get for your money, and unfortunately for me, that just both of those were not working. And this was more or less the issue was a lot of, it was an issue for me. It was a lot of wines. I keep Stacy, I'm not going keep bringing back Lodi on purpose, honestly. But truly, I mean, uncomparable with what was in Lodi. I just can't compare. You get for $25-$30, you get wines which literally knocks your socks off. I mean, I still remember. Lori, did you have Lucas Chardonnay?
Oh my God.
Remember?
Yeah.
2001 California Chardonnay, Lucas. It's not cheap. It's $48. It's not a cheap wine. But 2001, and we were drinking it 2 years ago. This was insane. This was absolutely insane, the way this wine was. And that truly stuck in my memory, Wake me up, I'll tell you about it, So this is, that's, so this year, unfortunately, in a speed tasting, I don't think I experienced anything like that.
But that I think is Sonoma,
Yeah.
and I love Sonoma. I really do. I like it better than Napa. Oh, sorry. But I like the personality of Sonoma. I'm not even going wines, because there's Napa wines that I adore. There's Sonoma wines that I don't like, so it's, I just like the personality of Sonoma better. But you're not getting, Lodi is up and coming.
Right.
So they can't afford to charge the prices that Sonoma and Napa charge. Nobody's going to buy it. It's the same thing. My Cab Franc is $32. I talk to people, who own wineries in Napa and Sonoma, and they're telling me I need to charge more money for my Cab Franc, but it's Paso. I'm not Sonoma. I'm not Napa. And that's not saying that I don't think my Cab Franc is fantastic, because I do, but you have to charge what your region is. And the other thing, and I don't mean this meanly, but I think this is what you're getting at, Anatol, is like Lodi had, they were like an underdog, it's like if you go to sports wise, like everybody went to Lodi, like, all right, it's Lodi. And I think Lodi had a grudge, and they were like, yeah, we are Lodi, and we are going to prove that we can kick ass,
And they did.
And they did. Where Sonoma is Sonoma. What are they going to prove? They're already Sonoma.
This was my problem. I mentioned that many times, that my one of my biggest challenge with the conference is that we really had no local host. Unlike Lodi, when we knew who is hosting us. Here, okay, hello bloggers, let's start our conference.
Right.
Okay.
But it's the region. It's the region, and I'm kind of curious as to what Walla Walla is going to do.
Walla Walla will be, I think Walla Walla will be great, because Walla Walla is an underdog. Washington is, Sonoma takes prime real estate in any wine store.
Right.
Right next to Napa.
Yeah.
Walla Walla, no, they more in the back of the store. I mean, the Washington wines, yes, you have to ask for them.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting.
I don't know.
But I do think Sonoma. I love how you are petting that tail, Stacy. For people on the podcast, that's really going to sound weird because they're not seeing.
No, we understand. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know where he's mine. I mean,
think
he's around.
So where? I love Sonoma. I really do love Napa. We go there on a somewhat regular basis, but we used to go there all the time until we found Paso, and we fell in love with Paso. And it's a different location. They treat it differently, and everything is different. I think I agree. Lodi, you knew who was sponsoring this, the conference. Sonoma was kind of like, yeah, we're Sonoma. But the wines I thought were really, I enjoyed the wines. I'm not going to say I didn't. But that's just my hearsay. Whatever.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm all with you, but not
So
arguing. Yeah.
and so that's obviously then your disappointed moment. Stacy, did you guys have a disappointing moment?
I think for me, to try to go off of what Anatoly was saying was, especially when it came to the conference provided lunch and dinner that we had, I felt a significant lack of local pride when it came to produce. And Sonoma, like one of the things that I really enjoy about
Yeah.
Amber, you managed. Wow.
Oh, for God's sake.
You're a trooper.
Sorry, Stacy, go ahead.
One of the things I really enjoy about Sonoma in general, whether you go to a fancy restaurant or just like a local diner, is their pride in their local produce. And I did an excursion to Jordan Winery, and they're all about sourcing from their estate edible garden, and then within like a certain radius around the winery. And so I feel that was something that was missing when we had our lunch. I think it was the Friday lunch. That was the wines were prepared from El Dorado, which was cool. I like El Dorado wines, and Sierra Foothill wines have an amazing footprint that they put on their wines. But the pairing didn't really make sense with our just kind of like hotel buffet situation.
There was no pairing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And then same thing with the dinner. We had Naked Wines that provides wines from kind of all over the world, really. But it didn't make sense with the food that we were having. So I felt a significant lack of local produce and local food. And when we're talking about wine and we're talking about wherever it is the conference is, whether it's Lodi or Walla Walla or Sonoma, you want to experience the wines in context with the food. I think that's an important aspect of wine tasting, and that was a major disconnect for me. And I know a lot of people kind of were disappointed with that.
So, Stacy, that would be challenging. I can tell you, at least I attended 3 of the conferences. So to like really what you are saying, to be able to pair and everything. Look, someone's paying for this, right? So this is for us. It's included into the program. Whatever we paid, $95 or whatever we paid, right? So that's not tremendous amount of money to be able to truly like someone. If you're gonna work on a pairing, it will involve, right? So you did not have local. Again, the local host was non-existent. So there should be money, and it should be a desire to present it like that. And I can tell you, in Lodi, the food, I even don't remember the food, right? It was food. Food was okay. But yeah, no, the food was okay. But the thing in Lodi was at every table, there was a winemaker. At every table, there was sitting a winemaker, assistant winemaker. They were pouring their wines. They were talking to the people. So there was a totally different atmosphere. We were together. We were embraced, and we felt that and at that point, when Mike McKay was walking around with his holding, I think it is a Magnum or 3 liter of his Grenache, just pouring around for the people, who cares about food? I mean, you really embraced, you enjoy that the atmosphere, the camaraderie, whatever. You really enjoy that the whole thing, and those are good wines, and so you can definitely do it better. I mean, it's just this one was, and I don't want to even talk about lunch. That was not even funny.
So, Amber, yay, you made it.
Sorry, guys.
Oh,
that's fine.
Okay. I'm glad you made it. So why don't you do a very quick, brief introduction of yourself and let people know where they can find you. But what my question was, we were talking about the highlights and things like that, and that question was, did you have a disappointing moment at the conference?
You know, my name is, first of all, I'm Amber, and I write for Napa Food and Vine, and you can find us at www.napafoodandvine.com. I think with the conference, the only thing that was really disappointing to me was that there were so many things. I mean, I was quite lucky because my husband was at the conference with me, but there were so many classes that I would have liked to have taken, and they did them side by side, so you had to choose. So if you're a single person, then I mean, like Stacy or you that were there by yourself, I'm sure that there was plenty of classes that you would have liked to have gone to that you couldn't go to. And that was really frustrating to me because, you know, there was just plain things that I would have liked to have done that I didn't get the opportunity to do. You know, that's pretty much it with the conference that I was disappointed in. I also thought that, you know, yeah, having Naked Wines as the sponsor, nakedwines.com, let's make that one clear, .com as the sponsor, you know, with the quality of wines that we were drinking all through the entire conference, everybody's giving us wine and whatever, it was really disappointing to have wines of that caliber. I thought, I know that you know, not everyone thinks so, but I really was disappointed that they were sponsoring it, because I just didn't think that the wines were good enough. When you're talking wine bloggers, these are all wine connoisseurs, and when you're talking about very inexpensive, as far as I could tell, like supermarket wines, I mean, that was really disappointing to me in the conference. Other than that, I really loved all of the things that they did. I thought some of the classes were super great as far as like the legal aspects. But yeah, that was pretty much my main complaint, is the two things of, you know, having too many things that were interesting stacked together, and then, you know, not having the quality wine as whoever is going to sponsor. But I guess it is who it is, right?
Right. I mean, it's big bucks to sponsor, so they're going to take who they can get. But I think that plays back to what everybody was saying previously is, you know, like Stacy, the sense of home of being Sonoma. Whatever your thoughts are of nakedwine.com, that whether you think it's a good wine, a bad wine, quality, not quality, whatever, they're not really Sonoma. They're like you said, Amber, all over the place. Where, you know, Stacy, you're saying it should be a sense of home. Sonoma should be proud. Sonoma should be representing themselves. So I think that ties it in more so than, you know, I'm always leery to say that's good quality wine, bad quality wine. It's just, I just am not comfortable saying that. You know, there's $3.99 wine that people that I know, like, that's their jam. They love it, and that's why it's there. But they weren't Sonoma. They were, we're going to get grapes from wherever we can get grapes from. And I think that it should have been Sonoma. But then as a business aspect, like Anatoly was saying, you know, $95 or $99 to attend this conference is not a lot of money to get things going. So whoever is going to pay to sponsor, that's where the money's coming in from. And
but wait on that, though. I mean, yes, we all paid the $99, but many of the other people, the PR agents and whatever, who don't write, they had to pay a whole lot more than we did. And every single thing that these sponsors all through the conference did, I mean, this was a serious moneymaker. You know, they all paid to be there, and they paid a lot of money. to be there.
Yeah,
Not
because
just the lunch
I got
rate.
the email. I got the email to sponsor,
Right.
and it was one thing was $3,500 and one thing was $4,500. So
Right.
that's a lot of money. You
Right.
know?
It is.
Just to bring it back around to the nakedwines.com thing. So I've been a member of nakedwines.com for about 3 years. And, you know, they do have some really stellar wines. Whether or not they serve them at the event, yeah, that's up for debate. But I think to kind of tie it into Sonoma, while their U.S. headquarters is in Napa, their winery facility itself is in Kenwood. And I think that's probably where their tie-in was. They were thinking of themselves as a Kenwood, Sonoma County winery because that's where their production facility is located. So if that helps.
I figured that they were located somewhere in Sonoma, but like when he came around, he poured something. I think it was from Chile,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah,
that's where I'm going. You know,
right? No, I would agree that they could have done a better job representing Sonoma County because they had a Chilean wine, they had something from France, they had the Chenin Blanc. I'm a big fan of that Chenin Blanc, but it's from Clarksburg, you know. So, I mean,
right.
you know, so yeah, they could have done a better job representing Sonoma County. But I think that's, again, just bringing it back to the Sonoma County connection. That's where their winery facility is. So even the Chenin Blanc that's sourced from Clarksburg, it's actually vinted and bottled in Sonoma.
Right. And as we all know, you know, wineries are located in one place and many wineries get fruit from outside of that, you know, so it is, you know, a very normal thing to happen.
Well, and I actually connected with nakedwines.com after the conference, and I specifically asked them to send me a variety of wines that represent small boutique local wineries that don't have a brick and mortar tasting room, that their purpose for using their Kenwood estate crush pad was because they don't have the means to have the space for their own. So they sent me like somewhere between 6 and 12 wines. So they have a good chunk of people that they could have represented at that dinner. And so I think, you know, if I had any feedback for them as sponsors, I would say, you know, steer in that direction. If you're going to be presenting your wines and you're an eclectic kind of winery like that, you're going to be representing your company, you know, pay homage to the place that you are at and represent those that are up and coming, people that might need a little bit more attention. And I don't know what table you were at, but at our table, it seemed like, and I don't mean this disrespectfully because it was a large event, there's many, many people. We didn't have anybody pour us any wine. We had bottles just kind of plopped at our table without any explanation as to what it was that we were drinking. So it was up to us to pick up the bottle and be like, what is this?
At the dinner, right?
At the dinner.
At the dinner. Oh, yeah. There were no explanations. Yeah. We had to run for our own wines.
Right.
Whatever you can get.
So we were just kind of like, you know, grabbing bottles and like, what is this? And we had a magnum of something, and I don't remember what it was, that wasn't even open for us. So we had to go and find someone to give us a corkscrew even. So there was no sommelier at the table or even a knowledgeable representative saying, hey, this is what we provided you and here's why, and let me pour you a taste and, you know, tell you the story of this wine. So kind of regardless of the region, we had no background information about what was being served to us and
it was
why.
It was just
like,
we had
here's
exactly
some wine.
That's how it was. Nobody was pouring wines. Yeah, there was,
right.
I don't know, this, the whole story was nakedwines.com versus just Naked Wines and all the lawsuits about the name. this is sleazy. I don't like this whole operation. This is just not right. I mean, this is. I understand you had some good wines from them, but it's just, I don't know. I think this is wine. This is not the wine made because of passion. This is wine made because of business. That's slightly different.
Stacy, I have a question because I did not get this from them, which would have been something if I understood you correctly. Nakedwines.com is an actual AP. There's other labels being produced at their brick and mortar facility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had no clue about that. Did anybody else know that they're
They have so Carl. If you want, talk to Carl. Carl was trying to explain me their whole business model. He was, I think, amazed. It's I did not understand what he was trying to explain.
It's kind of weird, like a long, almost kind of convoluted story. I'm just looking at my emails right now.
I'm sorry.
Ryan O'Connell is the guy who is in charge of that, or it's kind of his little baby, and the whole thing is the wine production is run through Angels. So if you're not familiar with the Angel program, it's sort of like not entrepreneurs, but people kind of like a crowdsourcing kind of a thing. But people donate money and help these small boutique wineries get up and running. And it's basically
the backside, Stacy. I'm talking about the backside, actually, how wineries deal with them or how they deal with wineries. So their financing come from it's a crowdsourcing. I agree on that. That's what they were trying to sell at the conference. So come and become those angels, right? I had emails from them about that. But Carl was explaining to me that the backside, how it works for the wineries, and there were some saying. So he was, I don't know, I don't want to say it because he was, I did not grasp it.
So Kent, I'm sorry, when you belong to their club, are all labels that you're getting nakedwines.com, or are you getting other wineries?
So they're not other wineries at all. Their basic premise is they hire winemakers, and so the wines are marketed under the winemaker's own name. So I know at the conference there was the Miriam Alexandra Chenin Blanc. Okay, Alexandra Farber is the winemaker. She chose that name, and I'm actually going to be posting a blog in the near future. I did an interview with her and kind of explained how she came up with that name. There was the Magnum, I believe, was the Matt Parrish Napa Cabernet. Matt Parrish being the winemaker. So they go out and they find the winemakers, and their premise is they give the winemakers the opportunity to craft wines the way they want to, as opposed to a lot of these winemakers have day jobs in the big wine houses where they're forced to produce wines the way the wine house wants it. So it gives them the opportunity to be individual and creative and create their own wines the way they want to. And so all the wines are labeled by the individual winemakers themselves as opposed to a wine house.
So I don't know if this is beyond too technical of a question for you. Who has the O2? Do you know what an O2? So for example, we don't have a brick and mortar building. Dracaena Wines cannot afford a brick and mortar building, right? So there is a facility at our winery. It's our winery, but it's a facility. And in that facility, it is owned by First and Last Winery. And at First and Last Winery, there are, I believe, and I'm not 100% sure, I believe there's 20 wineries, including us, somewhere in that vicinity in there. We all, basically, it's called an alternate proprietorship. So we use their equipment. So First and Last Winery is going to pay for all of that equipment. I can't afford that. But I pay First and Last Winery in terms of how many cases I produce and what I want to do. But it's my winery. I have my own O2. So
Right.
walk into First and Last Winery, on their wall, there are all of the O2 licenses of all of the people who have wines, who produce their wines there.
Yeah.
So Dracaena, you never see First and Last Winery anywhere. You're seeing Dracaena wines. You're seeing, you know, the other wineries that are there. So every winery has their own O2.
Sure.
Is that what this is?
I don't think so.
This is something like
on the,
that. I think this is something like that.
Yeah, on the back label, of every bottle, it's going to identify it as a nakedwines.com.
Yeah, but it's no, but at the same time it's identified as a naked wine. So it's like that, but it's not exactly.
Yeah, so I pulled out a couple of bottles from the package that I got today. So in the front of the bottle, like this one has the name of the winemaker, Jacqueline Bahu. Sorry, I don't know how to say that last name. And then on the back, it has a little letter saying, "Dear Angels, thank you for your support." And at the very bottom, it has nakedwines.com little logo. And then same thing here.
What does it say in terms of bottled and produced by?
Right. So on the back, it just says, so all of them will have like a little thank you to the angels, and then get the inside story, download our free app, nakedwines.com/app. So that's how they're putting their footprint on the actual bottle.
Right, but it's got to say somewhere on there by legal wise.
Vinted and bottled by nakedwines.com.
There you go. Okay, that's the answer right there. That's
right. Now, they do have international producers because they do source from all over the world. And in those cases, I don't know the specific stats, but sometimes they import the finished product in bottle. Other times they import the juice and then finish it at the winery in Kenwood. And it just depends on the various laws, international laws and whatnot.
Right.
But they're all going to identify themselves as a wine produced and distributed by nakedwines.com.
Right. So by them putting vinted and bottled by, that means that those winemakers do not have an O2 there.
Okay.
Those winemakers are working under the blanket of Naked Wines.
That's correct.
And I'm going to forget what the heck that number is, because there's another, you know, it's an O2 and a blah blah another number, but it's 470. But I don't take that to the bank. That means that I can make wine, but I'm under your umbrella. So
correct.
That's what that is. So those people
they're under contract.
And I believe they also source grapes for you. So I don't know what's winemaker role. You probably can decide. It's like I can go to a city winery in New York, and they'll tell me, okay, here's the Chilean. You can like choose your grapes and decide what you want to do with them. But really, that's not a lot of winemaking there. But anyway,
right. Well, that might not necessarily be true. Because I mean, I don't know how it is with naked wine, but legality wise, you could be you could be responsible for telling the whoever is sourcing whoever you are sourcing the fruit from. You could say, I want it picked at this, you know, bricks level. I want you to drop the fruit. I want you to do this. But here's the deal. I can't afford to deal with all of that legality stuff and monetary wise. It costs more money to have an O2 license, and then I'm responsible to do all of the government mandated documents. Whereas if you have the other license, which is what these people are doing, the winemaker, he can make all, or she can make all the decisions they want, but they're not responsible for any compliance whatsoever. Nakedwines.com is doing all of that compliance. So it's a different, it's how you want to be represented. So it doesn't mean that one wine is better than the other wine. It's how you want to approach the legality of it, how you approach the TTB.
Mhm.
So that's the difference between the O2 and whatever the other number is that I don't remember what it is. But so getting off of nakedwines.com, we talked about what a disappointment it is. Let's talk about the positive side of the conference and what was the best thing that you thought of the conference.
For
Anyone?
me, it was the inclusion, the acceptance, the warmth, and just being embraced by the blogger community. Especially, this was my first conference. I've only been at it for a couple of years. Frankly, I don't have a huge, exposure, but that didn't seem to matter to anybody. I was there, I was a blogger, and that's all that mattered. And I just felt really warm and welcome, and I feel like part of the family.
Yeah, I have to agree. It was my first conference as well. My blog's less than 2 years old. And I was just surprised by the first night when I walked into the room how many people already knew and liked me. And I'm like, oh, it's nice to know that people like me in real life and not just, saying nice things via tweets and comments and things like that. But also making that kind of personal connection. I know Amber and I have met at least one other time in the past, so I had at least one friendly face that was there. But to see others who I either know them by photo or I'd have to look at their name tag and just see their Twitter handle and say, oh, hey, I do know you. And just to already have something in common, wine, and to learn more about them on a both professional and personal level. And I really appreciate how I was able to talk openly about wine with everyone. Because for me, writing about wine is completely different than talking about it. For me, it's sort of like learning a new language. I can, read my Italian notes and I can take my Italian notes, but speaking in front of someone in Italian is like, no. And you have that liberty when you're writing on your blog to like take a time out and maybe look up a few facts that you're not sure about, contact the winemaker and say like, hey, I tasted this. Is that because you made it this way or the other? When you're in front of people and you're talking about wine, you don't have that luxury. It's, hey, let me pour you this 1962 wine that's been in cask until 2014, and I'm just now opening it, a few years later. What do you think?
I'm so jealous about that, by the way.
But you know what I'm saying? And even after the conference, you go to these little social gatherings and everybody would bring a wine to share because they're like, hey, like I had this in the cellar and I want to share it with you guys. What do you think? And you feel a little bit on the spot, but at the same time, I felt this is the most comfortable I've felt just being able to go at it and say, this is what I smell and this is what I taste, and not even whether I like it or I don't like it, but this is me talking about wine like a person would talk about last night's soccer game or something, So I really appreciated that.
Amber?
Well, I have to agree. I mean, it was so awesome. I started laughing at one point because there was kind of this game that everybody was like, where's Amber? And I heard that from like, I can't even tell you how many people are like, we're all going, where's Amber? Where's Amber? And Stacy was like, I just saw her. She's over there. And it was like kind of, where's Waldo? But it's, where's Amber? So, I mean, so many people that I've met on Twitter and have just been so gracious to me and were there and I could actually give them hugs. And that was so nice. Just meeting everyone was just amazing. And some of these people, there was not one person that I thought, oh, they're really stuck up. In fact, the most successful bloggers were the nicest, I thought, and they were, willing to spend, however long talking to you and just, enjoying you and sharing with you. And I loved that. That was wonderful. And it was really nice because a lot of people, I guess, read what I'm writing and they really respect what I'm saying out there. And so that was really nice that people were looking to me and respecting, you know, what we're doing. So that was really nice to feel that acceptance, you know, just like Council said, you know, that warmth and that acceptance from everyone. And then also, I guess the other thing was that came out of this is that, you know, I've been able, people that I've met at, you know, at the conference, you know, hey, I know this, and other people have said, hey, I know this, I can help you, and passing it along. And I loved that. I'm always all about passing it along, whatever it is, whether it be knowledge or wine or whatever it is. I loved that there was such a sense of community.
I agree. Anatoly?
So first of all, yeah, you guys already said it. I mean, it's people is the best part of this event, because you get to, like, yeah, I never, Stacy, I knew your handle, but that's about it. But
Kind of same with you, honestly.
it took 5 seconds, whatever.
Right.
So that's I love that, because that's the best part. You meet people, and you know, it's we all like, we there because we have common interest and common passion. This is the wine is the thing, right? So that's why we're there. So this is the best part. But overall, there were a lot of highlights. I mean, yeah, we talked about that stuff, but in general, Beringer class was outstanding, and Doug Frost was amazing. I love Doug Frost. His sense of humor is just,
really funny.
I mean, the guy is just unbelievable. I mean, he's very approachable also. I mean, he's a great guy. I mean, that session was outstanding. I was in the Alsace tasting. The wines were amazing, absolutely. Jordan, I mean, forget about it. That was just out of this world experience. This is so special and everything. So, you know, I mean, there were tons of highlights, tons, and even like driving there and like looking at all these beautiful vineyards, and then driving when we went for I did the post excursion with Napa Vintners. That was, I mean, really heartbreaking. We were driving by all the fires. That was insanity. I mean, it was necessary to see, but it just kills you what you see. It's very hard to convey that. But I mean, it's all, so the tons of experiences. That definitely this wine tasting we had at Castello de Moroso, that was very impressive. The wines, unfortunately for me, were not, but the whole setting was insane. I mean, this is I could not believe that this castle was completed 10 years ago. It looks like as it was there for 1,000 years. I mean, everything, they have everything. The downstairs, the torture chambers, the whatever. I mean, incredible, just absolutely incredible. So yeah, there was, for me, there were tons of highlights, tons.
Well, I think for me, it really is all about just meeting the people. You know, I like being social, in case you couldn't have guessed that.
Wow, really? Oh my God, Lori.
You know, just like meeting people, you know, like Amber, we've talked on the phone, you know,
I know.
last year, you know, we talk all the time on social media. And Tully, I've met you before, but I remember the first time I met you, you know, and then each time, you know, when we meet in the city and things like that, you know, you know, just we talk through Twitter or through social media or whatever, but to actually finally put the real face, because we all knew what each other looked like, you know, but to be able to put the real face to the real person is, you know, is phenomenal. And I think the concept that we talk to each other so much online that we feel like we've been lifetime friends. You know, Stacy, we joked earlier, you know, Ryan and I picked Stacy up from her hotel and we had never met before. And we literally just pulled in and Ryan yelled out, "Hey lady," you know, and she gets this big smile on her face and she comes running and gets in the truck. You know, it's like, you know, and it was I think we were inseparable for pretty much the entire conference, along with the Jeffs. It was the same thing. I was with you when we walked into the opening reception, and I don't know which of the Jeffs yelled Stacy, but it was like you went running to them. That it was like it's instantaneous friends because we've known each other online for so long. And that to me is by far the highlight of any of the conferences, any of the things, is getting to see the people in real life. And even if it is just the once a year, Anatoly, I get to see you more than just once a year because we're close in proximity. But and when I'm in my other side of the coast, we're not that far, so we can make it. We can see each other. But that by far to me is the best aspect of it. But so my last thing is because we can't just talk about this conference without highlighting or talking about and Anatoly, you brought it up a little bit. I think that one of my biggest pet peeves, it's not even a pet peeve, I'm beyond a pet peeve with this, is being on the East Coast when the fires occurred. According to the East Coast News, it was the end of the world out there. And even the LA Times was writing that it was massive destruction. And I have so many friends that have wineries there or vineyards there, and people who just live there. And, I was hearing how they were evacuating and all of this stuff. My heart was going out to them. And not that I think I could have done anything if I was in California, but being in New Jersey, I was so worked up because there was nothing I could do. And all I could hear was how horrible things were. And I think that one of the things that I'm trying to do with all of the blog posts that I'm writing is somehow weave in wine country is open. Get your butts out there, drink the wine, go visit. Yes, I saw horrible destruction. And yes, I know people who have lost their homes and have lost everything, but they are strong and they are coming back. But on the East Coast, it was like the end of the world in California. And that's what I'm trying to do out of this is, just try to get the blog posts out there, get the podcast out there, that it's horrible, but there's so much still great out there. So I don't know what your impressions are.
I'll go first only because I'm going to have to go because my computer's telling me it's almost dead. So this will be my last little thought, is that I completely agree with you. I think there's kind of two perspectives. Two people that are far away from this disaster either don't realize the magnitude of it and just think like, oh, like it was like a little bushfire or something like that. No, people's homes were destroyed. So it's a big deal. But no, vineyards and wineries and, yes, some were affected, but that's not the majority of what's going on. And so there's still so much to see. There's still so much to do. And the best way to, I think, help rebuild the city is to, if you canceled your vacation, think of it more of a postponement. I've talked to so many small business owners who are like, hey, October was supposed to be the month that we made up for all of our, I just started my new tasting room in downtown St. Helena, and it was slow go and we were supposed to pick up in October, and no, they didn't, so to help rebuild that kind of, Amber's going to speak even better than I can because she lives actually in wine country. But I just, my takeaway is that, there are so many people who were affected because maybe their homes weren't destroyed, but their jobs were put on hold for so long. So even if you weren't left without a home, you're left without an income. So there's that. And I was lucky enough, well, I don't know about lucky enough, but Lisa Matson from Jordan Winery took us through her neighborhood, which was completely destroyed. Luckily, her house is in such a state that they can more renovate than rebuild. She's one of the lucky ones. But I chose not to take photos. I chose not to write about the devastation, and I chose not to tweet out or Instagram photos of the horrible things that happened, because I want people to come and feel comfortable when they come to wine country. So I feel like not to take away from what people went through, but to highlight all the positive that's still going on.
Exactly.
And so with that, I think I'm going to have to take my leave. But it was nice to speak with all of you guys, and I know that I will again on the Twitters and the Instagrams, of course. And for anybody who's listening, if you guys want to reach out to me, my name is Stacy. I'm on briscoebites.com. That's my blog. And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. If you want to just Google my name, I'm sure you'll find me. And these guys will probably help you find me too if you get really lost.
Yes, we will.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Good joining
Good
me.
night.
Stace.
Good night, Stacy.
Good night,
Bye.
Stace.
You know, similar to Stacy's approach to it, even during the fire presentation, you know, I took a picture of the slide with all the statistics on it, and I tweeted that out. But I took a different approach. I think they were trying to illustrate just the massive scale of the devastation. But what I took away from that was the very small number of wineries that were actually destroyed or damaged. And that was the gist of my tweet was, hey, look, regardless of what the national media is trying to convey, that, you know, the entire Northern California wine country is completely demolished, it's not. There were so few wineries. There's over 800 wineries in Napa and Sonoma County, and a handful were damaged. So get out here, do your tourism, buy your wine. You know, I just try to put that positive spin on it.
Right.
Yeah. When we were driving for this, as I mentioned, when we saw all of this, so before the driver said that we're gonna go through this sort of fire zone, so I was sitting there by the window and I was thinking, oh, okay, so I will maybe I will record a video, and I mean, I don't know, we'll do something with it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, absolutely no way. There is no way I can record a video of this. This is just no. Not going anywhere. That's not what we need to talk about. We need to talk about the people. It's all there. The wine are there. The wine country is open, and everybody should really don't change your plans. Don't cancel your plans. Just come, buy wine, drink wine. That's the best thing you can do. That's it. That's the only message to take.
And Amber, you really were in the midst of it, so.
Yeah, I was and I wasn't. So my husband and I were in Italy when the fires broke out.
Which I can't imagine what you were going through.
It was so horrendous. So we were evacuated. Our house was evacuated. My poor mom, who was cat sitting, you know, she has heart problems, and you know, breathing in the smoke and everything was just horrendous. And she's from Southern California. She has nobody here. So from Italy, I'm trying to find people to take my mom in and a place for my cat to go. Because, you know, you can't take a cat and put him in somebody else's house, from Italy. And it was so horrendous and worrying. Okay, well, we're in Italy and my mom is elderly and she can't, you know, obviously clear out our house, and our house is in the burn zone. So what can we do from here? Thankfully, thank God that everything turned out fine. The fire only got 2 miles from us, and that sounds like a long way, but the winds were 70 miles an hour winds. And so 2 miles could have happened in, you know, a heartbeat. So we're so grateful and thankful that our house didn't go up, but we took an attitude of it's just stuff and not worrying about our home or our cars or anything, else. We were more worried about people. Our community was devastated by the fires. It crawled right on over the hill and down, through the vineyards. And, so many people died, and it was so horrible. It was really hard. But the aftermath of the fires, the air quality and stuff like that, what was so funny was, it took, I don't know, I guess about 5 days after the fires ended for the air quality to be good enough to where my mom could actually come back to the house. It was that bad. But, it's so funny because even weeks after the fire, my goddaughter in Wisconsin was telling somebody about, oh my God, I can't even imagine what my auntie is having to go through with the horrible air quality. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we had smoke, but this is a once in a lifetime fire that happens. It was just so incredible. And the smoke, and there was so long and so many places, there was no place for the smoke to go. So I think it was a lot scarier to people. And then, and of course the wind situation and everything else. But I think that was another thing that was just outrageous, is because the smoke actually went all the way into San Francisco.
We got it in Fresno.
Yeah,
we got it in Fresno. We had smoke. We had smoke, and I was like, I can't believe this is from there. And that was it. That was where it was from. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was the thing. And people just don't understand about how vineyards work, about the flash fires that go through, burn off all the leaves. But by next year, you watch. If you're even going now, I know you all have noticed that I've been taking a lot of photos of the vineyards and showing people, hey, it is gorgeous here, and even when you're seeing the fire places that have been, it's kind of like this little gray patch amongst, the beauty, and you're not even really seeing how the fires were when you're in downtown or in the main drags of Napa anyway. You're looking up on the hills and you're seeing a little tiny bit of gray. You have to seek out and go to the neighborhoods really that have the fire damage. And a lot of them are way far away from civilization. Unfortunately, Santa Rosa did get in their suburbs, all those homes are demolished. But for the most part, you don't see that. You just really don't. We were at Ledson. That is my number one photo that I've ever put on Instagram, which got to number one, actually.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Which by the way, in New Jersey was burned down to the ground.
Right. And, showing people these pictures of Ledson after the fire, and you can't even tell. And you could see a little bit on the hill, but you really couldn't tell. So, it's crazy. Even the staff were telling me that they had heard from the news that their business was burned down. So it's interesting. It's interesting. And, thank God for the first responders and our firefighters who really kicked butt. And it was, thank you, God, for what he did spare, and we will rebuild. And the places that, look at Signorello. What an inspiring, wonderful story.
Yeah.
Their wine was off property. Thank God their wine was off property, except, and what was in their tanks is fine. So, they're going to rebuild. They're going to be bigger and better and more beautiful than ever. And in the meantime, they're making it work. So,
Yeah.
we'll be there. But what we need is people to come. We need people to come to Napa. We need people to come to Sonoma, and we need people to come here to my own AVA, which is Green Valley, you know, and because we were really affected by the fires, and people, you know, are staying away. So please, you know, come drink wine, you know.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's
Drink
it.
wine, help people. It's a good motto.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Anyway, I want to thank you guys for taking your evening to be with me to share your thoughts on the Wine Bloggers Conference. And it was great to see your faces again. And I miss you already.
Oh.
There we go.
We'll see you soon.
But we will see you soon. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
You too.
I
Yeah.
will be. I
Same
actually
to all of you guys.
my boys, so I'm happy. I will see them for Thanksgiving, and we are heading to Paso, so I will be in my happy place. So we are good. So have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you for joining, and I will definitely let you know when I actually get this podcast to be a podcast. All
Sounds
right.
good.
All right.
Good
And
night.
it will be on
All
the
right.
YouTube, so you know you can watch yourselves if you'd like. Yeah.
Boy.
Okay.
Okay. Good night,
All right,
guys.
guys.
Good night.
Okay. Good night.
See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.